chance to be here, and welcome to you all. Good morning. And I want to cover today, if I can, the topic of networking, but note the title there, effective networking. I think there's a lot more to networking than just going networking. You've got to be good at it, and you've got to get some results from it. And that's what we're going to try and focus on today. In my mind, there's three ways to make more sales. I mean, that's what we're all in business to do. We want to sell more. We want to get more clients. And there's three ways to do it. You can put more leads into the pot. You can convert more of them, and you can cross-sell or upsell to existing clients. Now, I'm not a sales professional. I'm going to just be open with you and honest now. I'm not going to be able to talk to you about the cross-selling and the conversion part. But what I can do is help you put leads in the pot. And even better than that, we're not going to talk leads. We're going to talk referrals. Referrals are much more interesting. I want to just share some stats to show you why. Let's have a look. Referrals, I just think are better. They're, a lead is where it's maybe a vague opportunity, but a referral is where there's a real chance to get some business. Here's some stats for you. People are 4 times more likely to buy when the opportunities come to them via referral. They're just more. They're easier to convert. That's the long and short of it. Because it comes from a point of relationship. Because there's an element of trust there. It just makes it easier. People are more likely to buy, easier to convert. And as you come in to get a new client, the next thing that happens when it comes from referrals is you tend to get higher lifetime value. Clients tend to retain longer. 16% is the figure I've got. You'll see different ones. Honestly, that's just from one particular source. But I didn't want to be optimistic and say, well, you're going to get a huge number more. You do get higher lifetime value, though. 16% higher lifetime value from referrals. And the last one for me, this stat is more about the public at large. This is just what we do in life. 84% of people start the buying process with a referral. Now, I know you can just Google stuff. Obviously, you can. But when it comes from a recommendation, it's just much more powerful. And really, I just want to talk about what a referral is, because that's what I really view as effect. If you're getting referrals, then you're networking effectively. If you're not getting referrals or not getting enough referrals, well, you're not doing it effectively enough. And I want to look at what a referral is, because some people confuse them with that word I used before, leads. A lead is where you just might say to someone, oh, you should go and talk to them. They might be interested in talking to you in business. They might be interested in a CRM system or whatever it may be. But a referral is much more powerful. Let's take you through it. There's you. You are in dog form now, but that's just for a bit of fun. And there's your target, also in dog form, but again, for a bit of fun. If you have that direct relationship, well, there's no need for a referral. You just go and talk to them. You've got a contact already. No issue at all. You can go and speak to them. You can prospect. You can do what you want to do. But it's when you don't have that relationship that you need something else. You need someone else to help you with that. And that's where someone else comes in, a third party, whoever that may be. You have a relationship there. They have a relationship over there. And that's when you get the opportunity for a referral. And it's a key distinction. There always has to be 3 people in a referral. If there are only 2, it's not a referral. It's as simple as that, honestly. There has to be 3 people in that referral relationship. When you get those triads of people working together, connecting each other, that's when referrals get really powerful. Let's look at then, I asked the question, well, the title of the talk is, what is, effective networking? I'm going to ask the question, what is networking? The only thing is, I can't really show this image because, well, in the modern world in 2020, we're not doing that. That's networking these days, isn't it? So we'll want to look at what effective networking is. And the question is really, what is networking? And I think so many people just get scared with the term networking, the word networking. I am genuinely an unnatural networker. That may seem strange. I head up an organization that does networking, let's face it, Bni. But I'm a really unnatural networker. That means I'm a little bit shy. I'm a little bit introverted. I'm quite happy in my own company, honestly. Genuinely the thought, obviously now it's in a Zoom setting or whichever platform you're using. In the quote normal world, back when we could go and see people and meet people in a normal way, you go into a room of people to an event, and I'd always find myself feeling some nerves, feeling worried about it, not sure about it. I'm just a bit of an introvert, honestly. But what that means is I talk about networking from the point of view of someone who'd really rather not go networking at all. And you know what, when you look at the population at large, the majority of people feel a bit like that. Whenever I talk to audiences, I'll always just ask the question: who is an unnatural networker? Who feels a bit nervous, a bit unsure of themselves when it comes to going and meeting new people? And it's always 2/3, 3/4 of people are in that exact position. So the majority of the population feel like that. And even if you are one of these natural networkers, I call them weirdos, but no, I'm only joking. People who are very comfortable, like working in the room and just talking to people. Well, the fact is, you're going to learn a bit from, hearing what the majority of the population feel like. So when it comes to networking, I think it's the word networking that scares people. What networking really is, honestly, is just talking to people. Nothing more than that. Talking to people. Over time, you build a relationship, and when you build a relationship, it's when you get the chance to get referrals. And that's what I want to take us through during the rest of this talk. It's that relationship that counts. I know people often are, there's that phrase: is it what you know or who you know in life? And obviously, there's an easy answer there. It's the who you know. But I don't think that's true. When it really comes to defining what is networking and what is effective networking, it's not what you know. That's obvious. It's who you know. It's not who you know, it's how well you know them. It's how well you know them, and who do they know, and are they prepared to make contact with you? Are they prepared to put you in touch with other people? That's what effective networking is really about. And I'd like to show you this. This is something we talk to BNI members about the whole time. It's something called the referral confidence curve, and it really shows this in graphical form. I'll put the graph up for you. Two axes, obviously. On one axis, you've got time. You'll note there are no units here. I'm not going to try and tell you that's a week, a month, a year, 10 years. Honestly, it's just time going forwards. Okay, that's on the horizontal axis. On the vertical axis, it's confidence. And again, there's no units. Well, quite frankly, because I don't know what a unit of confidence looks like. But what we're saying with this is, if someone is going to refer you, then they have to have a level of confidence, a minimum level of confidence in you to protect their reputation. And that's a key point. What we're saying with, as we said with the referral, there's got to be three parties. There's going to be that person in the middle who's going to make the introduction. And if they don't know that you're going to do a good job, they don't feel that their reputation, if they're going to ruin their reputation because you're going to go and muck it up, this person might be their client, paying their mortgage, feeding their kids. They can risk that. In fact, if we do it right, we can even enhance their reputation. But that will come a bit later on. But at the very minimum, we've got to protect that reputation. And you'll start somewhere on that level, on that vertical axis of confidence. Clearly, you don't start near the top because obvious. You probably don't start at the very bottom either, because you can get a feel for someone pretty quickly just by meeting them the first time or getting an email. You see how they interact with you. You can start to build a picture of people. But you'll definitely start near the bottom, and this is how it goes. It builds slowly. It keeps building slowly, and it keeps building slowly, and it keeps building. I could go on and on. But at some point, it suddenly shoots up. And it's at that point there that things get interesting. What do you think's happened there? Well, that is the point. That is when the person trusts you. That is when your networking contact, whoever it is, that is on an individual basis, one other person trusts you. And when you've got that trust, well, the world's your oyster in terms of effective networking. It's easy to pass referrals. Below that purple dotted line, well, you're probably talking, maybe you might try someone out, sure. Might use them personally to see if they're any good. But it's when you get above that line, that's when they'll start referring you to their contacts. And that's where networking gets interesting. And that's where we need to be. What I'd like to do is going to share for the rest of this session 4 things that you can do. In fact, there's 3 things you can do and 1 thing you definitely shouldn't do as it works out. But there's going to be 4 key things that will help move you to that point of trust with your networking contacts quicker. Because that's, as I see it, the holy grail in terms of networking. Get to that point of trust, especially if you can do it both ways around. You trust them, they trust you, and you'll have a profitable referral relationship going between you. Okay, so let's have a look at the first one. Before, in fact, I share it, let's just ask a question. How many of you have ever been sold to at a network event? And it doesn't matter if that's in person or in an online Zoom event. We all have, haven't we? We know that so many times. There's one that springs to mind. This was at a BNI meeting, actually, so it was an early morning meeting. And there's this guy who came to visit that day. I can picture where I was. I was in Croydon. Apologies to anyone from Croydon. Nothing about that. It just happened to be in Croydon. This did. And this guy came up to me, and it's literally 6:45 in the morning. I'm pretty much forced feed myself coffee just to sort of keep my eyes open at this stage. And this guy comes up to me. He saw, I think it was some sort of health and fire and security system, a combined fire and security system, everything you need for your home or office. And he came up to me enthusiastically telling me that it was available today for the one-off price of £299.95. And I was like, please just go away. I'm not interested. And how many times have you had, it might not be in a networking event, but you have a LinkedIn connection request and someone comes to you or you connect with them, they put a nice, lovely connection request up, you connect and say, yes, how are you? And the next thing comes back saying, would you like to buy X, Y, Z, whatever it might be. Here's the one that you don't do. Do not try and sell when you network. This is the biggest barrier to getting referrals. And I think it's a reason why many unnatural networkers like myself don't want to go networking. They get put off it because they know they're going to get sold to. No, cut it out, cut it out. And here's the reason why. One, it's annoying for everyone. Two, there's an inherent problem in there. Because while you've all been sold to at a networking event, here's another question for you. Have you ever been to a networking event with the intention of buying anything? No one does. I mean, let's be honest, most buying processes require a bit of a, you might have to sit down, discuss it, go through some paperwork, whatever else it might be. It just doesn't going to happen. It's never happened. So don't do it. Cut it out. And it will get you far better results when it comes to networking. I understand, honestly, why people do it, because they think, well, I've got to go networking to make business. I've got to get business. I've got to put food on the table. I've got to do what I need to do. But it doesn't lead to success when it comes to that. So what should you do instead? Let's have a look at the second thing that you can do to move you to that point of trust. And it really is, well, it's pretty simple. It involves this. Cup of coffee. Other beverages are available. You can do whatever you like. You can have another meal. You can do whatever. But it's really about spending time with people. When you spend time with people, I mean quality time. It means on a one-on-one basis, or perhaps in a small group. And there's been studies done. There's a guy called Jeffrey Hall, a University of Kansas professor, who did studies on the amount of time it takes to become really good friends with someone. And okay, we're not necessarily making friends there. I get that. You will make friends from networking, but that's not the main goal. But friends requires a relationship. Having the close enough contact and trust in each other, part of referrals, it's pretty similar to being friends. And he found that to be a casual friend, i.e., someone you kind of just know, but you're not really close to them, that takes 50 hours, 50 hours of time. That's a lot of, coffee. I mean, obviously, there's other ways you can do it as well. You can spend time with them doing anything you like, but you're still going to spend time. Moving on, he's also found that to become a good friend, you're talking about 90 hours, 90. And to be a close friend, okay, this is your best mate, we're talking 200 hours. Okay, we don't need to go to that level, but I think it gives the impression of you can't expect it just to happen just like that. Meet at one event, great, we're going to get some referrals now. It just doesn't work like that. You need to spend time. You need to build those relationships over time. Networking is more about a farming mentality than a hunting. Hunting, hunt, 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 let's get some more business. That's the salesperson approach. Farming approach is look after the relationship over time. But as we now move on to the third thing that you can do, there is one thing that will speed it up dramatically. I get it. You probably aren't thinking 50 to 90 hours somehow. I mean, that's a lot of time. I've got work to do. I get that. So there is something you can do, and it will speed up the process of getting to trust so much quicker. This is what it is. It's to give to people. Give to people. Help people out. Help them with the contacts they want. Help them with the referrals they want. Because as soon as you help someone with a referral they want, what are they going to think of you? They're going to be trying desperately to try and reciprocate. Think what it's like when you get invited round to a friend's house for dinner. What do you immediately do as you walk out afterwards? You think, oh, I must invite them over to ours in a few weeks' time, or next time around, it's going to be your turn. But if you can give without that expectation of coming back, it's counterintuitive. This, you think, in business, we're always taught, well, we've got to compete for market share. You've got to, grab what you can. And actually, if you can give to people, you'll get a much better return, especially if you're doing it without expectation. What it often means is you don't get a direct result coming back from the person you're giving to, but you do get back from your network as a whole. In BNI, we call this giver's gain. That's our founding philosophy. It's effectively what goes around comes around. If I can give to you, you'll give back to me in return in some way, shape, or form. And if you can help people by giving them what they want to get them to their goals, they're just going to turn around and say, right, how can I help you? It will shorten that process getting to that trust point so much. So there's three things. The fourth one, let's come to that now. And you've probably heard this phrase, the fortune is in the follow-up. And follow-up, excuse me, sorry, follow-up is the last thing that we must talk about here in our quick overview of how you can get referrals. And in reality, what follow-up is doing what you say you're going to do. You say you're going to send an email, send the email. You say you're going to put someone in touch with someone, put them in touch with them. Say you're going to have a coffee. But in reality, it's much more than that. It is what you say you do, but for me, it's the first test of credibility. They're test checking you out. Are you going to be the type of person I can rely on to get to help me in my business, to be a good citizen in my network? And if you just do what you say you're going to do, it just makes all the difference. I want to just share one quick story about my early networking career. I'm going to say I'm embarrassed, honestly, about this. You need to know about this. I didn't have my umbrella that day. Very important. It was a Chamber of Commerce event. It was literally, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago. It was early on in my networking career. And I, being a bit nervous, still an unnatural networker then, I got myself prepared, got my suit on, got my cards, got my, all the bits and pieces I needed. Psyched myself up, honestly, to go and do it. And I went in, pretty brave. And I managed to talk to people, and it was fine. They were just human beings. And I collected some business cards, and some people I wanted to follow up with and meet again. And some people, you know what, they're nice contacts, but then they weren't going to potentially lead anywhere right there. And I said to myself, when I left, I need to just sit down. I'm going to sit in my car before I go anywhere and just quickly go through the con, decide what I'm going to do each one. Anyway, walked out the door. It was a lunchtime do this, and when you come out and it was bright and sunny when you went in, and it was just pouring down with rain afterwards. Didn't have my umbrella, as I said. And in that 50-yard sprint, it's one of those times when you just get absolutely soaked. And you sort of get in the car and you're kind of all a bit of a kerfuffle and you're just all over the place. And so absent-mindedly, I switched the engine on and drove off. I didn't sit there and look at the cards. And I was thinking about it as I was driving back to the office. I meant to do that. I'll do it as soon as I get back. What did I do when I got back to the office? Don't know. Life happened. Phone went, emails came, and I didn't do it. So I thought to myself, right, next I'm going to put the cards on my keyboard, literally there. I can't do anything else in the morning until I've done something with these cards. What happened the next morning? I don't know. Life happened. As I say, I'm not proud of this. It's not the best way to go networking. It meant that those cards were a complete waste of time. They probably went then into the next secret, most important drawer on your desk where you think, well, I'm going to put them there, so I'll do something with them, and then probably got cleared out a few years later. But if you don't follow up, honestly, networking, complete waste of time. Complete waste of time, and you won't get to that trust point. So just bear that in mind when it comes to your network. Okay, just to finish off then, we've gone through those four things. Don't sell, make sure you're spending time with people, give to people, and do the follow-up. I just want to finish off with a couple of true or falses. You'll have a true or false, don't you? You can have a think which of these it would be. So the first one is referrals come from people that know, like, and trust you. And I know you're sitting there going, well, hang on, that must be true. You talked about trust so much, and it's good. But here's the deal. Referrals, okay, they do come from people that know, like, and trust you, clearly, because that's what we're talking about. But I want to talk about people that definitely know, like, and trust you. Your family and friends. They know you, they like you, they trust you, they're your family and your friends. But do they always pass you referrals? Sometimes your family and friends don't even pay attention to what you're doing because you're talking about something else, because that's the relationship with you have them. They don't pay any attention to your business, so they don't refer you, even though they're in the best position to do so. Much better to surround yourself with people who know, like, and trust you. And this is the crucial bit, feel compelled to help you. I'll come back to that in a sec. Second one, true or false? If you do a good job, your customers will refer you. And we haven't covered this one so much. You'd think, yeah, if you do a good job, your customers will refer you. Here's the deal. If you do a brilliant job, then your customers might tell one or two people, sure. If you do a terrible job, they'll tell everyone. I mean, that's a fact. You're not going to tell, of course. But if you do a good job, honestly, that's just the minimum expectation. That's what they're paying you for. That's just standard. So what you really need to do is surround yourself with people who are going to refer you. And they're going to refer you not because they're your customers. Your customers is the wrong person to look for here. It's actually complementary industries to you. People who tend to deal with the same target market. They are the people who, once they got to the point of trust and the relationships there, they're going to continue referring. And that's why I just want to tell you a little bit about really how the best way to find referrals. Look, there's you in the middle. There's the world. There's people, your potential customers. There's people you can do business with. You'd like to get access to those people. If you do that, that's just a cold approach. What's much better is to have a group of people around you, a group of people that know, like, and trust you, a group of people that are complementary to your industry, a group of people that, because remember I saw with BNI, the philosophy is giver's gain. These are the people that feel compelled to give you referrals. You help them, they're probably going to want to help you. All you need to do is build a relationship with them so they can go out into the world for you. And that's really what I think the best way to network effectively is. If you can find referrals that way, not try and do the scattergun approach going to the world at large, that's going to be the more effective way to do it. I hope you found that useful. I must wrap up now. If you want to find out more, about BNI, then there's our website there, bni.co.uk. If you'd like to find out more about being an unnatural networker, I've got the book as it is obvious there. You can get it on Amazon or go to unnaturalnetworker.com. In the meantime, thank you very much for having me here. I hope you found it useful. Happy to take a couple of questions and see where we go from there.
Brilliant. Thank you, Charlie. I did find that very, very interesting. I've been in those situations myself many times through networking, and I think there's a lot that I could probably learn from a bit more of your experience, because the being sold to part, I think, is something that I've experienced a lot. And actually, sometimes when you go to networking events, it really does, it makes you hesitant. And I think that's something that I think a lot of people could take on board, and hopefully
you do unfortunately get a lot of it. I mean,
absolutely, we really benefit from that. So we've had a lot of questions actually. So I've picked out a few that I think have been quite relevant, and actually some things that I'd like to know about from yourself. So first one has been, how long does it typically take to get a referral?
Well, honestly, I'm going to say it's an unanswerable question, because that period on that curve I showed, I mean, there were no units of time, and they're very deliberately, because you can't honestly put a time on. What you can say is that different industries will make a difference. If I just take a couple of examples, let's take a florist selling a bunch of flowers. I'll just use that as a random example. It's pretty easy to get to that point of trust, because you buy a bunch. I really should buy a bunch of flowers for my other half. Honestly, that's a good reminder. But if you buy a bunch of flowers, you're gonna get all you need to know pretty quickly in terms of how good quality they are, good service, all that kind of thing. So you can get to the point of trust pretty quickly. If you're selling CRM systems, I'm just going to throw that one out there, or selling pensions, or something that's complicated, it's going to take longer, because you kind of got to find out a lot more information, personal information often. There's a lot more to it. So I can't give an exact answer, but I think it does vary by industry that you're in. There'll be a scale probably from florist to pension advice, and then everything else fits in somewhere in between, probably.
That makes sense. So also, how do I avoid boring conversations when networking? This is something that I would definitely like to know about as well, actually.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the defining things for me being an unnatural networker. I just don't want to have a boring conversation. I've got to psych myself enough in the first place just to go, and then to think, oh God, I've got to have a tedious conversation. And let's be honest, how many conversations when networking are tedious? They are. Here's what I do. I try and find interesting stuff, common ground between us. If you even in a short conversation in a Zoom breakout room, or in the real world when you're face to face with someone, you can find common ground. Find that common ground, because it's just going to be more interesting. When you're talking about common ground, it's probably going to be something you're interested in. I don't know, it might be the football, might be where you're on holiday, what the kids are doing. Doesn't matter. Make it non-business focused, honestly. It'll be a more engaging conversation. And what you might think, well, hang on, am I supposed to be talking about business here? Am I supposed to be getting work and all that sort of thing? No, you're supposed to be building a relationship. The relationship comes first, and when the relationship comes, they'll want to help you, and they'll ask you about the business stuff. So I would try and find common ground, make it something that's interesting to you, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. And the final one, I think we'll stop after this one, is, isn't it better to network on online platforms like LinkedIn rather than live events?
Yeah, good question, because I always think of an old schoolmate of mine, Adam. He's a good guy, and he often says to me, he knows this BNI, and I've been heading up BNI for a long time. He kind of says things like, that BNI thing you do? And I'm like, yeah, I know that BNI thing you do, yes. And he says, is a bit pointless now. You know, you can just connect with anyone. You've got your smartphone, you can connect with anyone in the world. LinkedIn, whichever your preferred social platform is. I think it's a fair point. And clearly, in the modern world, if you are not present on the various forms of online platforms that there are, I'm going to be honest, I haven't explored TikTok yet. Kids are trying to get me on it, but I haven't gone there yet. Now, if you're not present on those on the platforms, LinkedIn's probably the key one for me that I would definitely focus on. Is, you know, you're certainly missing out. I mean, it's a chance to get the breadth of your network out, you know, far and wide, connect with people in Australia, wherever around the world. Brilliant. The thing is, it's that depth of relationship. And I think the depth of relationship still needs to be done. It's always going to be done better in an in-person environment. So I would say you want a joined up approach and mix the two. That would be my best purpose.
Definitely. I think that's going to be something, hopefully, in the world going forward. I think that's going to be a big, important factor, is having both elements, because not everybody's going to be comfortable in doing one or the other. So I think there is going to have to be a marrying up of both. But really do appreciate your time. Thank you, Charlie, for your talk today, and we'll be able to speak to you later on. For everybody that's watching or is interested, this is also available on demand within our platform, so you can watch this back after as well. So thank you again, Charlie.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.